What is your scariest experience that you ever had with the paranormal? I was in the army at the time. I was supposed to meet my unit in a parking lot on base, right next to some woods, for some training. I woke up early, at 3:30 a.m., to beat the traffic. I parked and passed out. I was awoken by the sounds of children playing. For a moment, I was really confused. I looked around and realized where I was, and that it was still super early, like 4:30 a.m. I thought I must have dreamt it. I fell asleep again for a few minutes, and once again, a child's scream and some laughing woke me. I realized it was coming from the woods. I listened hard and caught a few more sounds of voices and laughter. I was definitely wide awake at this point. I stared and saw no lights. I checked a map and saw that there were no houses in that direction at all, it was just forest. I don't know what was going on, but to this day, being near these particular woods makes me very uneasy. I don't see how in the Flurbo there could have been an actual group of children playing in the pitch black woods with no lights at 4 a.m. on a military base, not near housing. 4 years ago, I moved into my first apartment. It was a small studio with no bedroom door. It was the first time I've ever lived on my own, and I brought my 2 cats with me. I had a long mirror hanging on my closet door. Many nights, I felt like something dark was in the mirror and was watching me. I kept telling myself that it was in my mind and this was the first time living on my own, and I was just trying to get used to things. The sight and feeling happened most nights. One day, I was sitting on my couch and heard a rustling noise and looked over at my trash can. It was a swing lid and I watched it swing to the right, then to the left, and then it stopped. I walked over to inspect. No vent air was hitting it, both cats were in the bedroom, and there wasn't any trash inside. I thought it was strange but pushed it out of my mind. A couple months later, a friend and her 3-year-old daughter came over and we hung out on my patio. Her daughter kept going in and out of my apartment, shutting the sliding glass door behind her each time. After a while, she ran to the glass door in a panic and opened it, jumped out and slammed it shut. Then threw a rock at the glass door. We asked her what was wrong and what scared her. We asked her if the cat scared her or a spider. She simply replied, "Ghost." I was stunned. I hadn't told anyone what was going on before this. After a while, things started to happen more and more. My cats would fight on my bed or be doing something on my bed and then would all of a sudden stop and look at the top left corner of my bedroom simultaneously. It would always be the left corner. I always checked to see if it was a bug or dust or anything else and it wasn't. They would be facing the opposite direction and then both turn and look at that corner. One day, I went into my bedroom to get a winter headband from my closet. I looked at my bed before walking into the closet and for some reason, made a mental note that my bed was made and nothing but 2 pillows were on it. I'm normally a messy person. I walked in my closet, knowing the headband was there because I saw it the day before. I couldn't find it and said screw it, I'll just wear the hat I found. I turned and walked out of the closet and draping off the side of the bed right in front of the closet door was my headband. As time went on, I became more and more freaked out, so I started sleeping with the bathroom light on. I woke up one night and felt 2 very light footprints at the end of my bed. I looked around and saw one cat fast asleep in the cat tree in the corner and the other fast asleep next to my pillow. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the corner of my comforter flip up. Then all of a sudden, it felt like a large hand grabbed the right side of my face, and I felt like I was spinning and felt sick and kept trying to force my eyes open, but I couldn't. It had to have been for 15 seconds, but it felt longer. Finally I was able to open my eyes and the spinning and ill feeling stopped. Shortly after, I felt 2 light footprints at the end of my bed again. Things would happen and then nothing for a couple of months. One night, I woke up and saw my hairbrush and night cream slam onto the ground. At first I thought it was my older cat because she liked to knock things over to wake me up. I kept calling her name, and my younger cat walked in from the living room to inspect what was going on. I kept calling my older cat's name and peered into the living room and saw her, and she wouldn't come into the room. She looked scared. To further explain why it wouldn't be anything else, my bathroom countertop had a round curb that went upwards, so something couldn't easily slide off. I had also closed the vent in my bathroom because it would blow hot air onto my hair products. After some time, I rented a bigger apartment in that complex. I went to the first one to clean the bathroom and was there by myself. A figure walked past the door. After moving into my second apartment, the realization that I was being followed by the spirit came to light. It knocked on my door and without realizing it, I let it in. Thus, more things have happened, and now living in a townhouse, it still appears every so often. Anyway, I grew up in a house that was built in the 1800s. It was always creepy, especially since it was in a state of restoration remodel most of the time I lived there. I hated having to move around that house at night, but only a few weird occurrences stick out. A couple of times, I thought I saw someone in our foyer, but it was always out of the corner of my eye. Example. My brother had one of those play school basketball hoops in the foyer, and I could swear I saw another little boy playing basketball with him, but as soon as I stopped to look, it was just my brother playing alone. Woke up one night to hear the bathtub running. My alarm clock said it was 1 a.m., so it seemed weird that someone would be running a bath. I walked in and no one was in the bathroom, just the cat staring at the running water, and no, he wouldn't have turned on the water, the mechanism is too complicated for a cat, plus he hated the bathtub. Another night I woke up and had to pee. It took some convincing, because as I said before, I hated moving around the house in the dark. I finally got up and as I walked into the hall, I saw a man walking away from me and through the closed door to my parents' room. I just held it the rest of the night. No way could I sleep after that. One night I was home alone, chatting on AIM with my dog at my feet. All of the downstairs rooms have huge pocket doors leading to the foyer, and my back was to the pocket doors. I didn't have the TV or radio on, and I distinctly heard a child's voice call for my dog from the foyer. He had an unusual name, inspired by a popular children's book, so it's a pretty distinctive thing to hear. His ears perked up, and he stared out at the pocket doors but stayed by my feet. I did not turn around until my family got home. I was babysitting my brother's little kid while they, my brother, his girlfriend and their 4 kids. 2 from my brother, 2 are hers, were in the cinema, watching Minions, I believe, or it was Despicable Me. Now a few explaining words. My brother bought a baby monitor, and they had gotten these little cameras for a fantastic price. I believe below $10 for one, and a really decent quality footage as well, and buy 3 get 1 free. So he went all out and bought 16. They were mostly to observe what their personal zoo, 2 dogs, 3 cats, a rat, 2 rabbits, 2 weasels, a hedgehog, an ermine and a squirrel, was up to when they were not around. He once simply let his laptop camera run, and what he filmed was beyond hilarious, hence he bought so many cameras so as not to miss anything. 2 of these cameras were in the kid's room, as well as a baby monitor. He was 5 at the time I believe, so technically a toddler monitor, I guess. The kid was fast asleep in bed while I enjoyed a movie. Suddenly, I think I hear something over the toddler monitor and make it louder. I can hear a voice saying hush, if he wakes up, we are busted. At first I thought maybe it was one of the neighboring kids with which he was in a prank war at the time. Which I may have or not may have instigated and for which I was feeding kiddo ideas all the time. But that voice was way too high for the neighbor kid, it was really shrill, besides, who should be with him? It is so hard to describe, kind of like Franny Fane. But of course, with a much higher pitch. So I opened the laptop to look on the cameras. There are 2 in his room, which are on the ceiling, so you could pretty much see the whole room. I look but do not really see anything, at least not right away. Then it hits me, that one corner is darker than it should be. Like there is a really dark shade there. I upped the brightness of the monitor and can see 2 shapes, which looked like kids, but were way too small to be the neighbor kids. Later, I could see them better, and they were maybe 80 centimeters high. While I decide on the funniest way to catch and scare the living heck out of them, I suddenly see something that scared the flurbo out of me. One of them looks towards the cameras, and his eyes were really glowing, like green glow sticks, with the same brightness and color, and it did not look like normal eyes at all. I get scared and take the baseball bat out of the umbrella stand and sneak towards the room. I silently open the door and are greeted by a really shrill mix of scream and hiss, like a cat hisses kind of, from these 2 creatures. The 2 things looked at me and bared their teeth. They had a flurble lot of them, and they were extremely spiky, like needles, but much thicker at the bottom. Crazy how you see every little detail when you are this scared. I am so scared I cannot move. In that moment, they suddenly turn around and jump out of the open window. And when I say jumped, I mean they easily jumped 2 meters through the room from standing still, and they hit the window exactly. After a few seconds, I can finally react, run to the window, and close it. The kid, thank God, slept through the whole ordeal. We later looked at the footage, my brother and me, but could not identify in any way what these things were. But we could confirm what I had seen, those crazy teeth as well as the glowing eyes, which had no pupils or anything, just two glowing orbs. The color and brightness was like these green glow sticks. My brother and his girlfriend were justifiably scared, and the kids never slept again with open windows, but we never saw or heard anything like this ever again. 5 of my friends went to this club that was really expensive to get in, and being a poor student, me and 2 others decided to go on the beach. Our apartments faced the beach and we had steps going down to our apartment, but you could also get to it from the back by walking down an alleyway with a sensor light that lit up when you walked down it. We get to this alley and I start freaking out and feeling scared to the point of almost crying. We walk down the alley onto the beach. No one seems to be around. We walk down the beach seeing no one, and I still feel a bit freaked out. I look up after walking for a few seconds and see this black opaque figure in the alley we had just walked down, with its arms stuck out to its sides. I'm freaked out but try to keep my cool. It looks as though it's about 7 feet tall and we're away from it, so it would be taller close up. I go, "What the flurbo is that?" and run along to the beach to the left and into the dock where there are street lamps because I'm that terrified. My friends follow and my skeptical friend asks what I'm doing, thinking I'm being mad. Before I can speak, my other friend says, "Did you not see that black figure?" Skeptical friend, who started running a couple of seconds after me and looked up at the alley, says he did not see anything in the alley after we told him what we saw and tries to come up with answers, e.g. was it an ill person, which is why they looked so weird. Obviously we don't know, but my other friend and I both saw it and were freaked out. It was freakishly tall, seemed sinister, and had a black opaque look to it. We saw no one and heard no one when walking down the alley. I go back to my apartment, 8 of us were sharing 2 apartments, and make them wait till 2 a.m. until the others come back. For the next couple of days, I feel freaked out sleeping in the room I share with another friend and feel like something is watching me from the corner, although that could be because I was freaked out from this experience. 2 days later, we are on the beach and I need the loo. I'm very poo shy, so I take all 3 keys to our apartment and check no one needs to go in, saying I'll be 5 minutes. I go in with the keys in a pocket and go to the loo. I had been playing a trick on a friend as the toilet light switch was in the hallway outside the loo and had been turning it off when she was in there. I was immature. I was on the toilet and suddenly all the lights went off, both in the loo and in the hall. I could see through the crack under the door that the hall light was off. I heard laughter and footsteps and assumed I had left a key and my friends were playing a prank on me. I still felt afraid and my phone went off and I saw I had texts from my friends begging me to let them in. I washed my hands and opened the door, terrified but still convinced that it was a prank. I went into the hallway and all the lights were off. I went into the living room where the main door was and saw all of my friends there outside waiting for me looking puzzled, and when I asked later, they said they felt that they should come back. I checked my pockets and I had all 3 keys, and when asking the neighbors, I found out they had not had a power cut. The light switch next to the bathroom had also been switched down, so it seemed as though this entity had been watching me play this prank on my friend and had copied it. I saw the black figure again down a different alleyway near some caves on the beach. We went on a ghost walk and were told about a mayor that was hanged in the area. Me and the friend who had seen the figure just stared at each other at this point, and the ghost walk leader said, "Wow, have you seen it?" Although that could have been her trying to make the ghost walk scarier, and this figure didn't really look hanged, if that makes sense. We got back from the ghost walk to find that our friends had started a food fight between apartments. They ran onto the beach, but some went round the front and some went round the back and down the alleyway where I first saw this figure. I ran behind them but hadn't put my shoes on, so was behind them, it was gravelly, and saw the figure ahead of me. But it wasn't in the alleyway I had first seen it in or the second one, it's hard to describe, perhaps I can find pictures of the surroundings, and it was at a different angle and was on the side road ahead, instead of down the first alleyway, which would have been to the right. I stopped and ran back to the apartment. The next day, I made our friend drive some of us down these roads where these alleys and side roads were, and there were no statues or anything that looked like this figure. On the last day of the holiday, we went into the other apartment our friends were in, which wasn't where I had had my occurrences, e.g. with the lights going off, but it was next to the alley where I first saw this figure, and the kettle was unplugged for a phone charger to go in and was taken off the kettle stand that kettles use to boil on, can't think of the name. It boiled by itself, whilst not plugged in or the stand.